Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to ZSR and welcome to the upper bracket finals of the Minish cap 80% tournament 2024. We have Myth going up against Darky, two legends of the community. And here in the chat, in the commentary booth, we have two other legends of the community, Darkys and Inku. Take it away. It's all yours.
Oh, shucks. Thank you so much. Hi, everybody.
Hello.
So excited for this. Inku and I were talking, we were gushing the whole time before the stream started about this race. We've got Myth, who started back in 2019 and has been pretty prevalent throughout, and lately has been super prevalent in the community, helping with new strategies, the tutorials, tons of resources. And then Darky, who's been a part of the community since the beginning, really. So this is going to be one of the more exciting matches, and I can't wait to see.
Yeah, really a battle of giants right there.
100%. So we're going to see some very optimized gameplay. We're going to see some incredibly difficult tricks and glitches. We're going to see a ton of stuff getting skipped. It's going to be awesome. I can't wait.
Yeah, can't wait too. Yeah, lots of manip coming right up. Octoclip as fast as possible, we hope. And yeah, this is gonna be awesome, like you said.
100%.
Okay.
Speaking of manips, so right off the bat, we're actually doing our very first trick of the run. So for those familiar with speedrunning, you may have heard of an RNG manip, which is essentially going from a reboot of the game and doing very specific movements to make the world act as we want it. We want enemies to move a certain way, or if we want them to drop something, or if we want to get an item from a bush, whatever the case may be, we're going to use RNG manips for that. And Minish cap any percent is a lot of RNG manips. So you're going to see a lot of weird movement. And right off the bat here, we need 5 rupees out of a pot. And sometimes you get them, sometimes you don't. But we just use an RNG manip to guarantee it. So we don't have to scrounge for random rupees in the beginning of the run.
Yeah, indeed. So basically, whenever you restart or start the game, the RNG resets at a very specific seed, which is the beginning RNG seed. And some actions that you take and enemies take during the game will roll RNG basically and advance loot tables, enemy movement, enemy decisions, and many things that influence how the run goes basically.
100%. And I actually learned from Myth in this race that it's really the sound effects.
Yeah, also
that does it. So like the smith banging on the hammer, the sound of the clang is what's shuffling the RNG. The sounds that Link makes when he swings his sword or rolls or does the little boot dashes, those are the sounds that actually is what is updating the RNG. So both runners just now getting their rupees and heading out the door, ready to enjoy a festival of fun and excitement and following a princess.
Yeah, there's gonna be a lot of talking to Zelda, and then watching a lot of cutscenes with Vati coming in and being introduced as the main villain of this game. Vati, who is gonna cause us a lot of trouble, also at the end of the run.
Oh, absolutely. And we're going to get to that fight because there's another RNG manip you all will get to see.
Oh, yeah.
How to make that fight consistent every time. It's very difficult, so we'll hope that it works out. But I have every bit of faith in both of these runners that they're going to
Indeed. Yeah, usually both of these runners almost always finish Vati 1 on track with RNG. These are very, very top runners we're talking about, so RNG manips are essential to their gameplay.
Absolutely, because with how high they are on the ladder, a couple of missed rolls here and there can mean the difference of, getting a new best time or, having another run.
Oh, Myth going for a strange shield position there to flex on Darky. I guess.
There's a little bit of hitbox on the side of that shield.
Yeah.
It's not super difficult, but it just looks kind of silly.
Yeah. It's really a swag strat. There's no time increments to this and or anything. It's just to look cool.
Another really cool thing is something I'm surprised has not yet happened this tournament is when you're rolling up to go and talk to the tiny guy with the mustache.
Did that never happen to you?
So I have not seen it yet this tournament, but every single other tournament and race I've been a part of, it's happened at least once. Where if you roll on the same phrase that the cutscene starts,
this is so tragic.
it soft locks the game. It does not continue to the next cutscene. And it's happened in every single tournament I've been a part of, and I'm surprised that it hasn't. Knock on wood that it does not happen. But it does require that you just fully restart the game.
Yeah, there's one other soft lock known to this route is the one we do on Cave of Flames. And usually no runners get soft lock at this point of the game because we know the movement. But yeah, it could definitely happen with stress and pressure.
It happened to me. That was that was my second loss out of the tournament. Hitting that.
Against me, right?
Yeah, it was. It was when I died twice ascending Mount Krenel and then also soft locked.
Oh my god.
It was a great day. It was cool and fun.
Yeah.
We're not going to see anything like that today.
No.
So we just got our sword and we are on our way. To kind of catch us up to the main story, Vaati, resident bad guy, wanted to get some mythical treasure out of a box, but instead just got a bunch of spooky monsters, and that was disappointing for him. So now he is going to be on his own little quest, trying to destroy the world and take it over with his dark magics, and Link is going to fix the sword that Vaati broke, the 4 sword, so that he can reseal him away. So we are on the way to Minish Woods, and to meet with the tiny hidden people of the woods in order to get them to fix the sword so we can defeat the monster. And I'm sure there won't be any kind of sidetracking or extra quests or things to collect. I'm sure they'll just show up, they'll go, oh yeah, no, 4 sword, I've got like 50 of them in the back. Here, take one, it's from the clearance aisle.
Yeah, of course.
Both runners essentially on the exact same moment here. With the exact same little bonks on Octos. So we are seeing some incredibly consistent movement between both of these runners. There's a lot of enemies to dodge around, and sometimes you get lucky, and sometimes they just get right in your way, and there's really only so much you can do. You can either lose a little bit of time to go around them, or try to just barrel right through and essentially spend your health as a currency. And we're going to see a lot of that in this run, as these runners are going to go kind of high risk in order to save those seconds.
Yeah, with enemies and bombs too, by the way. Yeah, the movement in this game is notably not trivial because of how much the enemies are spammed throughout the game and how little resources you have.
For sure, and for those resources, we also, we're going to be picking up heart containers throughout the run, which might be a little shocking to some other Zelda game runners in the chat who just do 3 hearts and that's it. But we pick up a few of those heart containers because there's a lot that can happen, and it's nice to have a buffer, and there are little damage boosts that we're going to need to do, and we need the health to do them. So we did just get a hat, and we kind of glossed over that. So his name is Eslo. He's a hat. He's a wizard.
And he talks a lot.
Tiny. He talks so much. He is our resident, older, helpful mentor man that's in every story. And he's going to tell us where to go and what to do, including shrinking us down nice and tiny so we can actually meet with the Minish. who are now on our screen.
Yay.
We have no idea what they're saying, so we're gonna do the normal thing that we would do just to learn any language, like in real life, is we're gonna find a seed and we're gonna eat it, and then we're gonna have full understanding of their language.
By the way, did you know that in the French version of the game, the Minish talk in basically reverse French?
That's wild.
So it's actually really easy to understand them, and you don't need the Jabbernuts.
That's so cool. I didn't know that.
I don't know about the Japanese version though, so...
I have no idea about the Japanese version. I know in the English version, they just say like kapu, or they do like little sounds and stuff, and it's like it's not even words.
Yeah, it's just verbal slop.
Exactly.
By the way, can you
German is
tell
the
me
same
about
way. Very cool.
why both runners are running the Japanese version of the game?
Absolutely. So there's quite a few reasons. One of the main reasons is text speed. So you can say a lot more with less Japanese characters than you can with most other like Roman characters, which would be like your English language, French, Italian, what have you. So there's a lot less text boxes with Japanese, and they can go by super fast.
Oh yeah.
So that's one of the reasons. Beyond that, and I'm trying to remember because I used to know this a long time ago, there are not many glitches that are unique to the Japanese version that aren't in like other versions. So I think it really mainly comes down to text speed. The only other version that we would never really consider running on is the European or PAL version. So there were a lot of changes from the PAL version that didn't that got changed out when they released the US and Japanese versions, and it honestly makes the game a little bit easier because there are some things in the PAL version that actually deal more damage to you. And I believe there are a couple of glitches that don't work in PAL that work on every other version.
Yeah, that's true.
Don't quote me on that 100%. I'm going off of some distant memories.
So from what I remember, basically in the US version, there's a skip in Fortress we do that we can't do if you run US. As for European version, it's just Palace of Winds, I think. Like the fact you can't Ocarina after Palace.
Interesting. I'll have to look it up and find out. Or we could honestly ask Myth after the race. I'm sure he'll know.
Oh yeah,
he is an encyclopedia on everything you could possibly know about this
absolutely.
game. So we'll hold on to that question, and we'll quiz him at the end. Right when he's trying to process everything that happened for the last hour and a half, we'll throw random trivia at him. I'm sure that'll be fine. So we're making our way through DWS, or Deepwood Shrine, right now, on a quest to get the 4 elements that we need to fuse back into the sword in order to form the 4 sword to destroy Vadi. This dungeon has a lot of enemies kind of sprawled all over the place. A lot of those slugs that are slow moving and love to be in the way. There's little flies that are buzzing around who also love to charge you down and be in your way.
Which are called pestos, by the way.
They are called
Very
pesto.
strange names, but yeah.
Well, I think it's probably just based on pest. And then they put an O on it to make it be mystical and magical.
Pest O.
Yeah, see, now it's fancy. This dungeon can be difficult if you're not careful, because you only have 3 hearts, and they can go by very fast. You don't have a lot of invulnerability frames after getting hit in this game, so if you're unlucky or not careful, you can just get comboed right down, and that can make this dungeon a little spooky. As long as you're careful, you'll be okay.
That is definitely something I wanted to mention, is that in this game, there's this very strange mechanic of Link being able to take damage in a row very quickly. And basically there's no buffer to taking damage.
Absolutely. So we are, speaking of taking damage, we are now at the first mini-boss, and most of our runners are actually clearing the first mini-boss, so we were going to talk about him, and he's gone.
Yeah, very quickly in 2 cycles.
Yeah. With Matterpillar, it's just about bonking the face and then trying to bonk the tail. If you're a little too early or if you accidentally run into him, you'll be bounced pretty far away. And getting a 3rd cycle loses you about 16 seconds of time.
Yeah, its tail is very treacherous as a hitbox.
Absolutely.
So you need to be careful. Going in the lily pad section with all the pestos. Okay, so both runners currently are managing their way very well through this section with all the movement memorized. Like every puff of the ghost jar, they know when to do it, how many times. And basically very strange lily-pad movement to achieve in order to be the fastest.
It's honestly so annoying. I hate lily-pad movement. It's got this weird momentum feel to it.
Yeah, it's very counterintuitive.
And you're having to essentially control it backwards because you're pushing it using the gust jar. So it's really quite awful, and I'm very thankful that in the any percent route, this is the only like real lily pad section we have. There's a couple more in the game which are also very difficult that we get to skip. So both runners though getting through it pretty okay. I did see that Myth got caught up on a couple of those pestos just bothering him, and sometimes they're just gonna get in your way. And that's just how they're going to be, and you have to get rid of them.
Yeah, in this game we do some RNG manips, but some theoretical RNG manips are not possible to do by a human, because the RNG moves so fast, and you can't really reset to gain any advantage for it. Like, in the water section of the lily pad, the RNG basically moves something like every frame, maybe more. So it's really unpredictable unless you're a robot, basically, which is not feasible.
Yeah. And so if you want to see something really exciting, check out the TAS for this one.
For sure.
Recently finished. If you want to see how far RNG manips can really be taken in Minish Cap, that task is going to be the thing to watch. But right now we are in the boss fight, so we're fighting Green Shoe.
Speaking of RNG,
and EMP in the chat has kind of brought it up. The regular enemy gets to be a boss because we're tiny, and this happens actually a few times in this game, and it's one of my favorites as well. We now have to be more creative in how we fight these normal enemies because we are so small. And if you wanted to kind of talk about the RNG of this fight while our runners are already finishing it up.
I didn't quite catch the moment. Like, on the 3rd cycle, the boss basically chooses between 2 different kind of movements in order to finish the fight. If you manage to do it in 3 cycle, which shouldn't be too hard. But the 3rd cycle, its length depends on what the boss chooses to do. So I think on both sides we saw jumps, which is the slowest movement the Chew can do.
He does 5 jumps before he starts charging at you. So you just got to be quick going back and forth with your gust jar so that you can make it too top heavy to keep jumping, and then it just falls over and you can knock it out. Another interesting bit of RNG with that boss fight as well is after it does fall down, the amount of time that it's down on the ground is also RNG dependent.
Oh, yeah.
You don't actually have to hit it a billion times. You just have to hit it a few times in order for it to trigger the next cycle. But even after you hit it that amount of times, it could still be sitting on the ground. And that's just entirely up to RNG.
Yeah, and it can vary between 5 to, I believe, 9 hits, which is really... can amount across the whole fight to a matter of 4 to 5 seconds, which is a lot to lose to just RNG.
Absolutely. So we are now on our way to Mount Cranel. In order to get to Mount Cranel, we need to do a couple of things. We need to get the Kinstone bag from this mandatory cutscene starting right now, and we need to learn the spin attack. So for the Kinstones, for those who have not played Minish Cap, this is the like fun little side quest of the game. Everybody's got these little magical half stones. You have the other half, and you can fuse them together. This is just your little tutorial cutscene, but the game didn't know that you can just save and quit, and then he vanishes from existence.
Yeah, we just don't care about that guy. We say, no, I don't want to fuse with you. Bye-bye.
Yeah. And then we're going to learn the spin attack, which would normally be required to get to Mount Cranel, that you have to show it to a guard. But we're going to do some swanky stuff to skip past the guard without using it.
Oh yeah, the first glitch of the route.
Yeah. It does not mean we get to skip getting the spin attack, because it is still required for the primary mechanic of this game, which is cloning yourself with the 4-sword. But we at least don't have to use it here. So the way that respawning after falling into a hazard works is the game's going to look for safe tiles. There's a safe tile right below that sign we watched both runners go in front of, but there's not safe tiles anywhere else on the path. So we kind of touch the safe tile, return to the quote-unquote unsafe tiles, and then just let it carry us right next to the guard, and we can skip past him before he can even get in our way.
Right after drowning, basically.
Yeah. And now we've got our bottle, we fill it with water, and we're on our way to the mountain. This place is treacherous. It's a gauntlet. It is covered in enemies, and there's a lot of ways to lose health. We've only got 4 hearts going into this place, so we've got to be careful. We are also going to be taking some damage boosts to go a little bit faster, like you saw Darky blowing himself up on a door. Myth's about to do the same thing. Bombs deal a half a heart, and most of these enemies are dealing a quarter heart. And with only 4 hearts, that's not a lot of leeway.
Ooh, Darky taking damage to gain a little bit of time, going through the door right away. Because we are not going to be able to heal until entering Cave of Flames, basically. So every quarter of heart matters in this treacherous mountain, like you said.
Absolutely. Now, you can get 2 hearts pretty quickly at the very start of the dungeon, so if you can make it to the top, you've got yourself a nice way to heal up. It's just getting that far. And if you die before you make it to the top, it doesn't just restart you at some cutscene, or some little checkpoint. It puts you all the way back down to the bottom of the mountain. And it looks like Myth got a little unlucky there with the ladybugs, and they just kind of ganged up and would not let him pass. So it's a little extra damage that Myth's taken. Hopefully that doesn't come back to bite him. But also just a little bit of time waiting for the ladybugs to let him through, or just finding another way around.
Yeah.
Now we also have this mystical green water. This is a mineral water in our bottle. We're going to need that here in just a second to be able to get higher up on the mountain. So if we accidentally dump it out, we're looking at a minute of lost time to have to go back and refill that bottle.
Which is absolutely tragic to do that run back.
Yeah. And I believe I actually had that happen to me on the unfortunate run we were talking about earlier.
No, that too? God damn.
Yeah. No, it was pristine.
Yeah, pressure can do a lot of things to your nerves.
Absolutely, but these runners are doing a fantastic job. We're taking the big old seed to plant it in a hole, put the mineral water on it, and we'll be well on our way.
Okay, Pesto's getting out of Myth's way, and basically the two runners right now are on the same health, even though Myth took a lot of damage right at the start.
Alrighty, and it just happened on Darky's screen. We're going to see it here on Myth's screen too. It looks like we're cheating, but I promise we're not. So we are grabbing a mushroom that looks like it's much higher in the air than we are. It looks like it's up on a ledge. But in reality, the ground you're standing on and the ground that the mushroom is on the same layer. It's how these top-down games kind of fool the player into thinking that things are higher up or lower down, is by making it look like they're higher, and then also putting them on these layers so that one row can't interact with another. However, a lot of the ground tiles on Mount Crenel are on the same layer, which is what lets you grab that mushroom. And it was actually, fun trivia fact, the first trick ever discovered for Minish Cap.
Oh, was it? I didn't know, actually.
Yeah, that was the very first trick ever discovered. So, there's some fun trivia for you. Tell your friends. Give them no context.
And also, this is some very interesting foreshadowing for all the glitches in this run, because layers are going to be essential to how we clip out of bounds all throughout this game, basically.
Absolutely. So keep on the lookout for layers.
Yeah.
Both runners also getting a pretty solid climb up the mountain. Those boulders deal a half a heart each. And sometimes they can hit you and push you down, and then because they pushed you down, they hit you again. And that can cost you a lot of health. Thankfully, both of our runners had a pretty solid time. Darky, though, getting harassed by Droplet Alley of all these rain droplets coming down and just not showing any mercy. So we see quite a bit of difference in health now between the two runners.
And Myth actually not taking like more than a quarter heart since the time the Beatles ganged up on him. So looking very nice on the health right now. Might not even take the hearts at the beginning of Cave of Flames if he's feeling really lucky.
Usually with runners on this level, if you're like 2.5 hearts, they usually don't take it. It's when you get under 2 hearts that even the top runners are thinking maybe I should grab that health, because it doesn't take long to grab.
That's when it starts getting very dangerous.
So sometimes it's better to lose a half a second as opposed to losing an entire run to dying. So we might see Darky take it, Myth not. Myth might also decide to play it a little more safe and take the 2 hearts anyways. We'll have to wait and see. We are nearing the top of Mount Crenel, though. We're going to be picking up some more rupees here on Darky's screen. Myth's right behind. Grab another 20 bucks. There's one more purchase we have to make that we have to get up to 60 rupees for. 2 guaranteed spots for large rupee drops, and that's going to get us to that magic number.
And I believe you were talking about it today even, getting the chest or not. Oh my god, to get that mushroom.
My life.
Yeah.
I was like, how am I? I was 40 seconds ahead getting out of Cave of Flames. I was having the run of my life, and then I realized, and I went back and watched it. I put the beetle in the hole so I could access the chest, and then just walked right past the chest and didn't give it a second thought until I was confused.
That has happened to me too many times, man.
Now we're at Malari's Mines. So he is going to be... He agreed to fix the sword for us. He did explain that he cannot actually put the elements into the sword, though. We will need to find a sanctuary to fuse those elements back into the sword so it can have the copying ability, but he'll at least put the blade back together, which I appreciate him for. We do love a good blacksmith in video games and RPGs.
Oh yeah.
And he says, while I'm working on this, why don't you go up to the mines and get the next element? And you're like, that's a solid idea. So we see Darky picking up the 2 hearts, so he is feeling a lot better now. I want to see if Myth decides to play it safe and grab the hearts anyways, just to avoid that risk. And it looks like he is. He's going to go for that full heal, and I don't blame him. There's a lot that can go wrong in Cave of Flames. There's a lot of damage boosting that we do, and having that extra safety net can make the difference.
Even in this good of a shape, at 2.5 hearts, he takes 2 more to get back to full health.
Absolutely. We saw the runners as well picking up some extra rupees, which may seem like, what are you doing that for? But in fact, another thing that impacts drop tables, which would be like items dropping from enemies or bushes or pots, is the amount of money you have, the amount of bombs you have, and the amount of hearts you have. And probably other things too. Those are the ones that come to mind. So if you have like less than 11 rupees, then rupees come up on the drop table slightly more often. And that can impact the RNG manips we do later when we're trying to get things like kinstones, where the game's like, nah, you need cash. I'm like, no, I really don't. So now we're on the Helmrock room, and so Myth got a little unlucky, only able to grab one of them at the start as opposed to like an optimal 3, but he was able to get 2 of them lined up to clean up that room. So very lucky save from the RNG on Myth's side.
That was honestly some good clutch, some good game sense. Thinking about being able to do that at this time.
Yeah, making those in-the-moment adjustments.
Yeah.
And here is that chest we were talking about on Darky's side. That's the 50 rupees. That's going to get us over the top for the amount of money we need to buy that wake-up shroom. It's going to be important for us after we get out of here.
The mushroom costs 60, I believe. No, probably 50.
I think it's 60 because we had to get the 20 from the pot and then the 50 from here.
Yeah, right.
If it was only 50, then I don't think we would have needed the 20. But maybe. I don't know. I could be wrong. I don't even know what I'm doing here. I don't even work here. So now we're doing the first major glitch of the run. So this is angle.
Let's go.
So we, as you can see, Link can face one of the 4 cardinal directions. But if we hop out of one of those holes holding a diagonal, it actually gives us this weird diagonal facing angle that when you're pushing and pulling something has some weird effects where it actually pulls it diagonally. And so we're able to essentially pull the chest right over the loading zone of the door, which erases the loading zone. So we can grab the key and then run through and then just kind of skip through a bunch of walls to skip having to use that key. So that lets us hold on to a key for longer than normal, which skips some backtracking later in this dungeon.
Yeah, about 1 minute of completing another part of the dungeon to get the other key. So very nice out of bounds and trick.
Yeah, and I remember when that trick was first discovered, somebody popped in, someone named Solidified Gaming, who if you're in the glitch hunting scene or the speedrunning scene, might be someone you've heard of. They're all over the place.
Oh yeah, shoutouts.
Yeah, huge shoutouts to Solidified. And they popped in like, hey, I found this random thing. I don't know if we can use it for anything. And it was just like, not really. And then someone was like, hey, what if you tried that? And then he's like, wait, that works. Oh my gosh. Oh, this changes everything. And then it did. there was like a rush to find every possible use of that glitch, and we keep finding more. So we're going to be using it in this room here that Darky's in, that Myth is on his way to. We're going to put one of the Rollobites, little rolling bug guys, up into the wall, and that'll be a surprise tool that'll help us later. We're going to use the angle retention to pull out the little pillar here. We don't care about the lever on the pillar, but we're going to kind of pull that into the wall as well, do another angle retention, and when we grab the pillar, it's going to put us in a weird spot that's going to make us take damage on the beetle, which is going to clip us through the wall and on top of it.
Beautifully explains. Yeah.
The entire rest of the dungeon. We don't have to get the big key. We don't have to do this massive lava room that takes forever. We skip everything, and it's so beautiful.
Yeah, the later half of the dungeon altogether. Yeah. And also using the layer mechanic there, getting on layer 2 in order to get into the boss room. Like above the boss door.
Yeah, and we just skip having to get the big key, and it's such a satisfying route in this dungeon. I love where Cave of Flames is right now from a routing perspective.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then this is very important. Everyone, take a look at the walls. Take a look at the walls. You'll see him. There he is. It's Glee Rock. It's a bunch of them. So that's a cool trivia. You also saw the runners pick up a ferry before entering this room. That is, in fact, not for marathon safety. There are 2 planned deaths in this run that's going to let us open a door without actually walking into the door, which is going to be critical for a reality-breaking glitch that we'll be getting into. And so we're going to need that ferry in order to die when we open the door, so we don't actually walk in. And that's what that ferry is for. We're also going to be using this ferry in order to do a super normal and safe descent of Mount Crenel. So we'll be seeing that really soon, of how a normal person climbs down a mountain.
Oh yeah, indeed. So
was I foreshadowing enough? You think they caught it?
Okay, getting elements before the mark of 36, which is really good pace. And both runners currently are evenly matched, like to 10 seconds almost.
Yeah.
So it's very impressive to see.
Yeah, 10 seconds at this point. It may look a little scary, but honestly, there's so much that's going to be able to happen in the next hour that this 10 seconds right now is not going to really be that deciding factor.
Oh yeah, Manips,
maybe
Octoclip,
who knows?
Everything.
Absolutely. So we're seeing it on Darkysquid. Right now, he's going to use the ferry. He's going to show the ferry to the sign and interrupt the pouring out animation with reading the sign with the A button. And that's going to give him immortality. Walking right past the enemies doesn't matter. And he's going to take Greg. Everyone say hi to Greg, the rock beetle. Hi,
hello, Greg.
We're going to take Greg on a little walk, and we're going to show him the cliff. Don't worry, we're not sending Greg off the cliff. We are going to use Greg to shove us off the cliff. So the way that this works is by something called the push value. So when you are pushing Link up against a wall or a pushable object, you notice that he kind of braces against it, and then after a moment or two, it then moves. And that is because the game is counting up a push value. And once it hits a certain point, you then actually complete the push. So we're essentially storing that push value in order to get him to shove us off the cliff, because that push value is the same value that the game uses to track when you can jump off a jumpable surface. And we use that to fall out of bounds and roll the entire way down the mountain off screen to skip not only descending the mountain, but also, we'll see it on Myth screen right now, skip having to navigate around and...
Oh my god, he really did that! Oh, Jesus Christ!
We got the McYeehaw, everybody. So Myth pulling out the big guns, trying to make up some time in this run. So the McYeehaw saves a little bit of time. It is
something like 4 seconds, I believe.
That's fantastic. That's exactly what Myth needed.
Oh yeah.
And so it's not just pixel perfect. Pixel perfect is easy. We can always set up ourselves on a pixel, but this is a sub-pixel setup.
Oh yeah,
so
sub-pixels, yay!
Is something you cannot see. You can't really track it, but there's sub-pixels that Link can be standing on, to where two screens can look identical, but Link isn't technically on the same place. And so it's honestly, there's no setup to guarantee what Myth did. It's a 50-50 shot. Either you got it or you didn't. If Myth did not get it, he would have been soft-locked and it would have been over.
Yeah, exactly.
He went for the McYeehaw to save a little bit of time, and he nailed it. So he is still in this race, and it's just so much more exciting than it already was.
It's so crazy he went for it. Yeah, and also one might wonder why there are sub-pixels in the game. So this is a mechanic outside of the gamer's experience, because you can't see them, but the reason they are in the game is because we are able to walk diagonally in this game and not tile by tile. And so you need to implement things like diagonal speed, and as we all know, as we all learned in math class, going diagonally, you go... Well, the diagonal of a square is √2, so it's like a non-integer amount of pixels, for example. So you have to use floating points in the game, and so this is why we need those, basically. Yeah, this is a bit of messy explanation, but that's what I can give. Yeah.
Fantastic job. So if there's anybody that's watching this race who's supposed to be doing their geometry homework, congratulations, now you're multitasking.
Let's go.
And that's what it's all about, efficiency, people. So we have our wake-up shroom, we're heading back to town, and we're going to use this to wake up our cobbler or shoemaker, and he's going to be able to finish up the Pegasus boots. The Pegasus boots are technically not required. Well, they are required. Never mind.
Technically, yeah.
They're required. Both
if you're a TAS.
Well, see, they're required. Oh yeah, if you're TAS, you could probably skip them. But they're required in casual gameplay. They're also required for our any % run. It's what's going to allow us to move around in in the swamp in Castor Wilds, and also run fast boot, run fast time. So why not take boot and go fast? Castor Wilds is going to be getting into a section of the game and a section of the any % route that I call Heck and Black Magic, where it is back-to-back RNG manips.
Oh yeah.
So as soon as Darky finishes picking up the bow, Darky is going to be in an RNG manip, where he has specific movement to get kinstones, to get a P-hat in a specific location, to be able to clip through walls and get into Fortress of Winds, skipping a ton of run-around garbage. Right
after resetting, just after getting the bow. Yep. Basically, right after these enemies are beaten, a chest is going to appear, giving us the bow. We are saving and resetting there, and starting 3 consecutive RNG manips. So for me, this is like, well, also amongst other, quite literally all runners, this is the most difficult part of the game. The part of the game where you need the most focus.
Absolutely. One mistake can easily and immediately cost you a minute of time.
Oh yeah.
So you've got to be careful, and then you have to bring this P-hat over here. Darky getting super scary, because if you accidentally suck into position...
Oh yeah, he did
and just
menu
nail it.
though. Menu buffer, right?
I didn't see a menu buffering, at least not on the extra cuppery. And then Myth here.
Okay,
A little
maybe
far away, but...
Piat coming right up. No?
Oh, no.
Oh my
Come
god.
on, P-Hat.
Piat, come here, come here. Maybe from the top?
Maybe?
Oh,
Here he comes. Oh,
he gets the Piat.
there we go. Okay,
Oh
we
my
got the
God,
P-Hat. We're
what a
okay.
clutch.
Really unlucky position from that P-Hat. I believe there's some, like, extra RNG values you can get stuck with that can make that P-Hat go super far out of the way, and Myth got it.
Yeah.
So a little bit of a longer time there to get that P-Hat into position. Darky, meanwhile, blazing through Fortress of Winds in the first, the first RNG manip of Fortress of Winds, the second in a row of manip. So this one's called Lever Clip. It's using the Armos to clip yourself into the other Armos in order to grab the lever from inside and drop a key.
And he's gonna use the Almos to get a Kinstone in order to fuse with all the tingles afterwards to get the boomerang.
Absolutely. So the RNG manip not only makes the Armos move where you want it, but immediately afterwards to get it to drop that Kinstone. And then if you thought the RNG manip was done, you are absolutely incorrect.
It's not.
It's still going. So
Yeah.
Darky right now is continuing through. And I believe he's going to try to set up his RNG, yep, with the dash and a couple of rolls, because he's going to try to get another Kinstone to drop from the upcoming Dark Nut fight, as well as getting him to move for a really clean battle. So we're going to see if that works out for him. And then Myth as well, doing his own lever clip. Darky moving right along. So at this point, the manip is done, so we are in free movement right now. And he's going to pop in here to grab the Mole Mitts, the item of the dungeon. Myth, having a rough go, does not get the lever clip set up, and is going to have to try it again. So this is where Fortress of Winds can be truly unforgiving. Where if you get it through, it can be great, but if anything goes wrong, you have to essentially start that dungeon over, and it can be really hurtful on time.
Yeah, because we need those Kinstones in order to get the magical boomerang, or else you are not doing the routes.
Yeah. And there really isn't much of a backup for getting those Kinstones. If you don't get them here, it's not just a that's okay, I'll go over here instead. It just turns into I have to restart. I gotta do it again.
Ooh, Darky actually getting a really interesting.
So he's doing a different Kinstone route than a lot of other runners, where he's getting another green Kinstone from there. I believe that was actually a backup because he's doing a route where he gets a green Kinstone from the Dark Nut fight. And I don't believe he got that Kinstone. So he had to do the backup to get the same kind of green Kinstone from killing the Armos there over the wall.
Yeah, so adaptation over the course of the run.
Yeah.
So Myth actually succeeding at his reset manip and on his way to the Dark Nuts. Maybe he's going to get the green Kinstone that Darky didn't get. Yeah, so the Dark Nuts
dropped from him.
Yeah, because the Dark Nuts didn't do the expected dash, so the RNG was a bit different. And so, yeah, no way to really know at what point of the RNG you are if the Dark Nut doesn't do what you expect him to do.
So we're going to have to see what kind of backup strategy Myth does to get that Kinstone. Darky, meanwhile, going through the Mazal fight, which we haven't really brought up. So Inku, if you wanted to talk about Mazal, be
Oh
more
yeah. So interesting enemy. So classic weak spots, floating invincible enemy that you go into as a Minish. So the gimmick of this game, and you are to basically slash the weak pillars, which are noted by blue by a blue effect. So one of 9 pillars is the weak spot each cycle amongst 3 of Mazal, and every time you go in Mazal again, the pillar is going to be different according to RNG also. So there's not really a way to know where the pillars are gonna be, since basically Minish portals break RNG manips every time. So how would you explain that, Drakus?
The Minish portal thing?
Yeah.
That I'm actually not familiar with.
Oh, okay. So
sorry,
I'm going
but
to. Yeah, I don't mind. So basically, every frame that you stand next to a Minish portal is a frame where RNG gets rolled, and this is why continuing any RNG manip after becoming a Minish is not possible, because you would have to be frame perfect several times in a row in order to achieve that.
Yeah, and watching Myth go up by the pedestal, I figured out why. It's the sparkles. So the sparkle
exactly.
sound effect is shuffling the RNG, and there's so many of them that happen that, yeah, that's exactly what would happen. That makes a lot of sense.
You guessed it.
Man, every single time I do one of these, I learn something new. You'd think,
Yeah.
since I've been running this game since 2019, that I'd know more things than I do, but I don't.
There's so much stuff to learn about this game. Like sub-pixels, I didn't know at all, like 4 months ago. And then, yeah, everything is so rich. Every mechanic, every science of glitches, it's so like fun to learn everything in this game.
So Darkysquid right now doing the first death abuse, where he essentially gets himself up to the door at the exact moment that bomb goes off, opening the door and not going through it. And then
the first OG.
Yeah. So the
Let's go.
OG, or the ocarina glitch. So games don't like to do 2 things at the same time. So in this case, we're playing the ocarina at the exact same time as entering the door. And that causes the game to kind of get stuck. Enemies stop moving, hitboxes are turned off, and it has a lot of other effects on Link, to where you can go up in layers, like by going upstairs, but you cannot go down layers unless you jump off of a ledge. And so that allows us to do a lot of crazy stuff. We can run on water in it. We can run on air with it. It's the game-breaking glitch for Minish Cap.
Oh yeah, the flying section in Palace.
Yes.
Love that.
We skipped it. So we get to skip a lot of things with that glitch. And that allowed Darky to kind of get up on that ledge to be able to fuse with that tingle. And we're going to see it here in a second on Myth's screen as well, if you missed it. Darky also picking up another fairy because we're doing it again. We're going to do an intentional death on a house at Lake Hylia so that we can open a door without going in and run across the lake, which is going to be really cool. It makes it to where we don't have to get flippers. So
yeah,
another example of a classic Zelda game that has an item in order to swim, and we don't care.
Book quest, man.
Book quest.
Yeah, totally.
So,
Myth resetting the setup for death abuse. Okay.
There we go. Now, cutting those bushes can honestly be more perilous than you would think. Sometimes a bug can hop out, and then also sometimes a heart can drop. If a heart drops out of the bush, then yeah, bombs only do a half a heart of health. So if you accidentally pick up a heart, you're not going to die on the bomb, and you're going to walk right through that door. So it can be really unfortunate if you get a hard drop. But now that we have done the fusions on Darkysquid, he's doing the legwork to get these ladders to drop down so that he can get the magical boomerang. This is a completely optional item in a vanilla playthrough of the game, but it is required for us in any percent. We get to use it to skip through the boss doors, and we'll see that a couple of times in the run. So look forward to those shenanigans.
Oh yeah, right in temple droplets coming right up.
Yeah.
And in like something like 20 seconds, we are gonna have the fated Jesus moment where we death abuse and then walk on water.
Absolutely. So this is the infamous Lake House OG. This is one of the biggest tricks that new runners have to practice, because not doing this essentially adds, I would say, like 10 minutes or more to your run. So this is an essential trick to learn. And then doing that ocarina glitch where you kind of slip in, play the ocarina, you don't enter the house, and then you can just run right on the water like it doesn't matter, right through the enemies, they also don't matter, and you go right into Temple of Droplets.
Oh yeah, and also, can we talk about the fact that OG is a frame perfect trick?
Yeah, so Minish Cap runs at 60 frames per second.
Uh-huh.
So that means...
Well, actually, it's 59.7. No, just kidding. Yeah, it's also a matter of difference in Switch and MU version.
Yeah, and actually, that's what we're seeing here is Darky is running on the Switch, and Myth is running on the emulator.
Oh, is he?
Yeah, I forgot, because Myth is a keyboard runner.
Right.
Not using a controller, he is using a keyboard to play this game. And I've tried it, and it's weird, and I use controller.
It is really weird, yeah.
Yeah, but it works for him, and I love that for him.
Mm-hmm.
The Switch version is slightly faster, I believe, on like reloads. When you save and quit and reload the game, it goes a little bit faster. And I believe it's like an extra 0.007 seconds per frame faster.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Exactly.
So, very inconsequential difference. Not really a whole lot to write home about between the two versions, but it is interesting to note that there are different versions here. Darkysquid, while you're talking about frame rates, he just used the boomerang to skip through the big door. So he's going to use the boss key to open the door at the same time as the magical boomerang was coming back. So the magical boomerang can be controlled by holding the A button, which puts Link into a certain state that makes it to where loading zones, you can't put Link into a loading zone. There's like a movement that Link is forced to do to get into a loading zone. And holding out the magical boomerang prevents Link from being put into that proper position. So it just turns off the loading zone instead, and we're able to use that to run off screen to skip into the blue Octo fight to get us the lantern.
Yeah, beautifully said. By the way, the lantern, which is a really tragic item in this game because we are going to use it only against Octo on all. Actually, it is required only against Octo. Tell me if I'm wrong, but
on older routes, it was, and I guess some runners, I myself included, still use it in Dark Hyrule Castle to get the fourth small key.
Oh yeah, on the right side of the castle. Yeah.
Yeah, for those of us who don't go through that fire bar room that we'll see later.
Yeah.
Because that room's a nightmare and I don't want to deal with it. Yeah. Aside from that, the only actually required moment is to beat Octo, which is a shame because the lantern's kind of a cool item in my opinion.
Yeah.
We
are gonna use it against wizards with robes in the next temple.
That's right.
For the next element.
Yeah, it's like I don't even run this game. I have no idea when we're using the lantern. I don't know this. This really niche piece of information. All right, so now Darky is doing Octo Clip. This is probably the hardest trick in the game.
Yeah, indeed.
So right now, and keep in mind, everything that we're going to talk about right now is happening during an RNG manip. So Darky is pushing this pot around to get it down to the big Octo frozen in the bottom of the screen. There is a little corner right by his foot where the foot meets the wall, right where Darky's standing. There's a little corner that we can slip through.
Oh my god! What the...
Careful, Inku.
Woo! Wow.
Try slipping right through. That is a frame-perfect trick where you kind of do a neutral grab and then hold up left, and then roll exactly 4 frames later. So it is an awkwardly timed one frame trick in order to slip through that gap because of weird ice momentum. And it kind of slips you backwards on a roll, and you're able to clip right into the boss fight without doing the entire rest of the dungeon. Darky right now is going to be watching all of the rocks falling and watching the movement of Octo in order to make the third cycle of this fight consistent as well.
Yeah, continuing this RNG manip right until Octo dies, because what matters most during this fight is that third cycle of Octo. So that's the cycle when Octo starts being able to render the room dark and sucking Link up if you're not careful, basically.
Yep.
So Darky manipulating Octo very well there, recognizing all the rocks patterns.
And messing up that RNG and getting that ink attack that Inku was talking about. Each time he uses that attack, you lose 30 seconds. And that's it.
And Octo can do it up to, I believe, 2 or 3 times if you're really off the RNG. This has happened to me before. And you can, just like that, with the snap of a finger, lose 1 minute 30 seconds when you thought your run was good, basically.
And it really is heartbreaking. There's nothing you can do about it. Once the RNG falls off, there's nothing you can do. You're up to, it's up to fate at that point. And now we've got Myth also going into the Octo clip. Another shout out to Myth, who actually discovered the most recent strategy. So the movement that Myth and did here.
Both runners are doing currently.
This was just discovered like a few weeks ago, a couple weeks ago. So really big deal. And it looks like Myth didn't get it first try. Gets it second try.
Gets it second try.
We're still on par here. He might be able to save the manip. It basically is just cutting out a boot dash, and we should be still in line. Does a couple rolls there. That should fix RNG.
Interesting. I haven't seen this movement before, but Myth totally knows what he's doing, and he's going to be on track with RNG, watching for falling rocks. And
based on that, he's gonna do 5 rolls, 6, 8 rolls, maybe?
Yeah, 8 apparently, because he didn't take damage and saw the rock next to the A button, which holds the shield. These are the visual cues we used during the run. So Myth, knowing them very well, is going to be able to continue the RNG manip right until third cycle, coming right up.
Watching the rocks right now is going to let us know.
Okay, so I believe it's 8
rolls here.
Yeah, and Myth knows that. And is going to finish beautifully Octo without any ink attack.
Yep. So both runners getting the manip, getting 0 ink. You love to see it. And then Darky right now doing 2 element fusions at the same time. So normally we would have gone here already once to fuse the first 2 elements into our sword. But we skipped it because we don't care. We didn't need to use it. The extra movement we did to get down Mount Krenel skipped us past a cutscene and past a little mini cave that was going to require us to use that trick. So, great stuff. Darky then doing both fusions right there. Myth on his way to do that as well. And now we're moving into Palace of Winds, which is the last dungeon before the final boss of the dungeon, Dark Hyrule.
Very beautiful dungeon. Very interesting and elegant execution. There's a lot of enemies, but the movement we do in this dungeon is like so nice, so like surgical and everything. Yeah.
If you remember angle retention from Cave of Flames, we're going to be doing that a lot here as well. We'll essentially be skipping 2/3 of the dungeon.
And a lot of out of bounds, yeah.
Yeah, and a lot of out of bounds movement as well. Which is a shame, because honestly, I really like Palace of Winds. The music is great. Floating dungeons in the sky has always been one of my favorite like RPG elements.
Oh yeah.
I'm gonna skip it all because why not? We can.
Okay, so Darky beginning the dungeon with nice P-hats RNG. Not getting in the way too much.
Yeah, and that's awesome. This room can kind of go off the rails if the P-hats deem it thus. And this block right here, that 3-person block, was the only reason we needed to do the fusion.
Oh yeah.
And that is an airtight seal. We have not. We've been trying to figure out a way. I say we as if I've contributed anything to this aside from existing. But the Minish Cap community has been trying for years to try to find a way through that block, and we can't crack it.
Yeah.
If we can do that, then we wouldn't need to fuse until after finishing Palace of Winds and when we're going to Hyrule Castle to begin the final dungeon.
Which would save an incredible amount of time.
Yeah, that would save minutes.
Yeah, at this point we're praying to glitch hunters like Myth and Solidified to desperately to find a way to skip that block. Yeah.
For sure. Darky as well doing a great job getting rid of those whiz robes for a nice quick fight to get the cape. And then we've got the YOLO jump. This used to be a either you get it or you don't situation until the randomizer community, shout out to the rando community, found that incredibly easy and consistent setup, turning what used to be a YOLO jump into, yeah, it's free.
Oh yeah. I think this jump is due to Haley, isn't it?
I believe so. That sounds correct. Darky right now, normally runners would set this up using the bow. However, Darky's too cool for that, I guess, and sets up using shield. So he's looking at very specific pixels to know that he's in the right place. I have not seen that movement before. That was really cool.
Yeah, it's a little optimization due to Myth, realizing that you could menu less during this section of Palace of Winds in order to save time on the out of bounds that Darky just did on the stairs. There's like a little part of the stairs hitbox, which if you get the right sub-pixels, if you remember from before, you can actually boot dash outside of layer 2 and get on top of the dungeon, basically. And skip a lot of it.
Myth right now in Palace of Winds, and actually got a really cool magic boomerang throw. I don't know if anybody caught that, but he threw the boomerang through a switch. So it hit the switch and then hit it again on the way back. So he kind of double triggered it in order to get across all the bridges he needed to in one last boomerang throw. Small optimization, really cool. Wanted to call it out.
Yeah, I love that optimization. Like it's so cool to we are able to and doing another micro optimization with the boomerang thrown at the bottom of the stairs there.
Absolutely. So now we'll see if Myth gets the quick fight on the Wizromes. This fight is honestly trickier than it looks. You've got to time the bombs properly, throw them where they need to be, and he nails it. Fantastic work.
And by using only 2 bombs there.
Yeah. Darky now out of bounds. Used the lantern, actually, so never mind.
Right.
The lanterns aren't needed. You can use the boomerang, you can use the lantern, and it almost feels like personal preference. And so he used the lantern to skip the boss door, the same way that we did in Temple of Droplets, and it let us get on top of the dungeon to skip right away to the end.
Yeah, so Darky starting a notably difficult boss fight during the run, which can have a lot of chaos happen. There's orbs that give you 1 full heart of damage.
Is it a full heart?
Yeah, it is.
Oh, wow, that explains a lot.
Yeah, that explains a lot, of course.
This fight can be relatively consistent as long as you stay on top of it, of your movement. But if you fall a little bit off your normal patterns, it can go haywire.
Yeah, it's a snowball kind of fight, honestly.
Yeah, for sure. Darky handling it beautifully, getting right through it. Phase 3 is the worst phase. You've got these electrical balls flying around, and you've got Georg doing these dive bombs to shove you off. So Darky having to deal with that. Is able to get rid of the eyes cloneless.
Oh, yeah.
Which essentially you line yourself up just right, and when they're next to each other like that, you just do a sword swipe and it hits all 3.
And doing another cloneless pattern.
Very lucky for that.
Recognizing instantly that it was the right one.
Yeah.
And getting into position, by the way.
Yeah. It's a tricky position to find, so very fortunate for Darky to find that. Because if they were farther away, you can still do it by using a bomb and a spin attack.
Oh, I didn't know, actually.
It's a really tricky timing. Yep. I believe that's actually a strategy used in Glitchless, so that you don't have to use copies, just to save a little bit of time. I know it's used in the Fire Rod, kind of a meme-ish side category, using a not properly implemented item to do crazy stuff, and you don't even have the ability to fuse at that point of the game. So doing cloneless is required.
Oh yeah.
So Darky now is within 2.5 seconds of PB. So Darky is right on time with his best time ever.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I didn't see the life split, but it looks like he's 2 seconds ahead. Merely.
2 seconds behind.
Behind, yeah. Behind.
So basically right on time with his PB.
That is crazy.
And then Myth now getting into Georg. Still having an incredible run. Like when you're at the top level of playing, you know, the little mistakes and the little unfortunate luck that Myth has had has kind of been adding up. Still a great run. But it's fight back at this point. Darky now completing a fight that was supposed to happen like way earlier in the game, but because of the Mount Crenel movement, again, like these ripple effects, because of that Mount Crenel descent, we skipped that fight until now.
Yeah, it was supposed to happen right after Cave of Flames, the second dungeon, but because we did Crenel clip, we skipped an essential cutscene where we see Vati taking hold of the king's body, basically. like impersonating the king.
Yeah, and speaking of Vadi impersonating the king, we're actually going to get that plot reveal right now. So everybody in the chat, if you could do me a favor and just act super surprised when Vadi reveals himself to be the king. Otherwise, he's going to feel real self-conscious about it, that nobody thinks his shocking reveal is cool. So if y'all could just help us out with that in the chat, that'd be great. We'll play along too. It'll be a whole thing.
Oh yeah. Yeah, because it's like we skipped an episode.
Yeah.
Or something. What? The king is actually Vati? What? I didn't know.
Darky getting a little bit of downtime now while it kind of replays the intro cutscene. Myth getting out of Georg with a pretty decent Georg fight. And will now be on his way to Dark Hyrule Castle as well.
Ooh, did Darky just reset his game?
Oh, imagine. That would be something. But it is the same cutscene. The only difference is you get one extra stained glass window. I believe it's after this one. And it reveals that one little piece of information that changes your understanding of the plot. So this one here saying the golden power rests within the Princess of Hyrule, which of course it does. And the king is like, oh, wow, interesting information. And wait, hold on. What is this? The king was Vadi the whole time?
No way.
Everyone act shocked. Everyone act shocked. It's important. Vadi needs to feel good about himself.
I totally didn't know that.
Oh my goodness. Insane.
Yeah, so Vati, not being very smart, didn't realize that Zelda was holding the light force all along, and just turned Zelda into stone like it was no big deal.
Yeah, I mean, at least he didn't, like, just get rid of Zelda entirely.
Oh yeah, that was...
That would have been really funny.
Yeah.
But instead, he's just got her hanging out in the storage room. Darky now doing cutscene walking, where essentially you're walking into an Eslo trigger where the hat's going to talk to you at the same time as freeing the royal advisor guy. And you're able to kind of stack that to be able to walk through everyone else's cutscenes to get through that room faster. And so now we're doing another stair clip here.
Ooh, when Darky gets it first try.
Super lucky to not have that moblin be in the way either.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And doing the wall slides. Ah, no, yeah. Bonking there.
Walking through a locked door like it's nothing.
Of course.
Remember, kids, locked doors only work from the outside. Legal reasons, that's a joke. Myth now getting his final fusion going into the cutscene. If everyone could be super shocked again for Vadi, Myth's timeline version of Vadi also needs to feel good about himself. So we'll just pause for Myth's Vadi to have his exciting reveal.
Damn, I didn't know it was a whole multiverse of Vatis.
Every single run is a new timeline. You thought there were 3 timelines in the Zelda franchise? No, it's infinite, man. You have no idea. Darky getting a little disrespected.
Oh yeah,
having that moblin down there poking at him. So having to reset that room. Little bit of time lost, a few seconds. That's it.
Okay, and in a bit we are going to collect some keys, and maybe Darky is going to use a manip right before starting to do Vati's manip.
We'll have to see. And that manip isn't necessarily a required manip. It just makes one particular room a little less chaotic.
Yeah.
If he ends up going for it. I think it was Friday, maybe? The last tournament race, somebody did that without a manip and just kind of YOLO'd it and nailed it, and it was great. All right, here we go. Oh man, Vadi was pretending to be the. Oh wow. Oh
the
man.
Vati did that. Impressive.
Wow. 2 for 1. Good job, Vadi. Tricked us all. Thanks, everybody in the chat. We appreciate you all.
Thanks.
So now we're getting the rest of those small keys. Because there are multiple small keys, way more than 4 in Dark Hyrule Castle. These just happen to be the 4 fastest ones to get. And those small keys are going to be necessary so that we can get to the big key. Once we get the big key, we'll be able to get to the boss room and finish out this game. And defeat Vadi.
Okay, Mummy's pattern there. Looking pretty on track. I'm just looking at the Gibdo's enemies in order to see if Darky is doing a manip or not.
This is a manip that I have not learned. I go to the other room with the other fire bar.
Oh yeah.
Route. I just don't want to bother with that big room. I've
And
got enough
also,
on my plate.
you can also do the left room without a manip.
Yeah,
because
it's just
yeah.
And Darky might end up doing that because he had to reset on this weird door movement. So if you kind of if you use the cape to jump up into the door frame at the same time that the room kind of transitions you over, you kind of do a jump over the sealed door as opposed to just getting stuck on it. And Darky had to kind of reset that because he wasn't quite in the right position. So that's going to throw off the manip.
Oh, I see the rupees there.
My room.
That's my visual cue for my manip. So maybe Darky is on the other one. I don't know. Okay, beating the Darknuts really fast there.
We'll have to see. We'll also have to see what route Myth ends up deciding to do. If he goes to the spooky fire bar room, or if he goes for the older route. I believe he's going to go for the fire bar. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I'm sure Myth is one to showcase the new tricks in this run.
Yeah, and going the other way is a little bit safer, and it costs you an extra like 5 or 6 seconds.
Yeah,
so
indeed.
It's not a top runner. It's not a huge deal. Here we go. Darky in the fire bar.
Okay.
Shooting at the eyes. Looks good so far. He's going to position himself on the pillar. He goes right in. It's a piece of cake.
Taking damage. Going through.
Not letting him have a good day, but there it is.
Ooh, he kept angle retention.
Yeah, setting up angle retention using the fire bar damage in order to push that block diagonally. So he's got his 4 keys. He's heading to the big key. This is going to be another RNG manip to finish out the run. This is Darknut and Vadi manip. So not only are we doing this movement to make the 3 Darknut fight before Vadi consistent, which is honestly so important. That fight is a nightmare. But also continuing the manip throughout the final boss fight. Ideally, all the way through phase 1 and 2 to make them fully consistent, because Vadi 2 in particular can be an absolute mess with everything going on. So being
very
able to
chaotic.
He's so helpful. So we're gonna see if we can keep that manip going. And you might also see slightly different manips from both of these players, because there's about 15 different, I'm exaggerating, but there's so many different manips that different players have come up with and tweaked to make it easier for themselves and more consistent for themselves. So we might see different things all around here.
Okay, Darky manip looking fine until Darknuts.
So we'll see if that... Yep, so the black armor dashing right down the middle. Getting rid of him, rolling off to the side. 5
the
quick
slash.
swipe.
Ooh, okay.
Oh.
I think he dropped it.
Yep, so that manip is dropped at this point. So that means it's anyone's guess on how well Vadi's going to go.
Oh,
you
yeah.
Can't fix it. I don't believe it's going to be enough time for Myth to catch up. but it is going to make that fight for Darky a little bit more interesting.
Yeah, it's going to be up to Darky skill and knowledge of Vati right there.
And PB is on the line at this moment for Darky.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I didn't see it was 12 seconds ahead. Yeah.
He's 12 seconds ahead right now going into the Vati fight. So if he gets good luck at this point, we might see a Darky PB here today.
Let us hope Darky doesn't choke and actually gets a good Vati 1 and 2 and actually PBs maybe.
And the big determining factor for whether or not Vati 1 is quick and easy is how many times he teleports away. So he might decide to just zip-zap around the room and you never get the chance to hit him.
Just like that. Yeah.
Just like that. And like this. So now Darky's having to chase him down.
Oof.
I don't know if he got enough hits there to get it to cycle.
Getting caught on fire there. Vati deciding to teleport a whole lot more. Okay, Myth succeeding at the other angle retention, just like Darky right before. And he's going to start Vati Manip on his own. Okay, Darky beginning Vati 2 right there. And
now,
so
Vati 2 is... Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, yeah. So one thing to note about Vati 2 is the longer you spend time into the fight, the harder it's going to be, either speed-wise or space-wise, because Vati has this tendency to spread like thorns across the room, and also gets quicker and quicker as the cycle pass.
And another really interesting thing about this fight and the way that we get through cycles, so our goal is to skip one of the cycles of this phase, and one of the ways that we do that is by using the spin attacks from the clones. So this is a really weird thing. It's going to be one of the great unanswered questions, but it's in the code that the spin attack damage from the clones specifically, instead of dealing damage to Vani, just sets his HP to a specific value, which is enough to transition the cycle. And that's why the spin attack will just automatically close his eye and move on to the next phase, because it's setting his HP to a specific value instead of dealing damage. In the final cycle, we're then able to use that to get the spin attack and the swipe to take him out and skip a cycle.
Yeah, basically reducing Vati's 2 health to like basically 1 HP and just slashing him another time as Link in order to finish him off.
Darky right now going into Vati 3. He is currently 1.6 seconds ahead of PB. I have a very slim margin of a PB. At this point, even if he had gotten the RNG manip, that RNG is kind of whatever at this point. So he is now just kind of hoping basically that everything lines up, that Vati goes in a friendly position. I don't like the position of him right in front of it. I don't know how Darky feels about it. Maybe he has different feelings.
So Vati 3 there didn't take quite as much time as usual to plant his arm into the ground, which is one of the deciding factors of how long Vati 3 is going to take as a fight, as the final fight of the run.
Darky right now finishing up Vati 1, is not in the manip either, I believe. Didn't look like it because he was rapid tapping the sword. So we may also be seeing a YOLO Vati 2 from Myth. But a pretty good Vati fight besides. Darky opting to use a boomerang to stun the real eye and not use the lantern to see it, which is such a wild choice that I would never do in my life. Myth right now lining up his shots. Trying to get through Vadi 2 as fast as possible. We're about to see the end of Darky's run right now. With volleyball.
Yeah, playing ping pong with the final boss.
Exactly a Zelda staple. And the way that you kind of manipulate Vadi is to line up horizontally. It doesn't matter what your vertical position is, just matters that you're lined up horizontally.
Okay, final cycle there.
So he's going to stay right up on him and not leave him alone. We have the attack. Do we have the timing?
Okay.
And time
and
on
it's
Dark.
a PB.
31. That is a PB by 2.2 seconds.
Wow.
So, fantastic run from Darky. Myth now going into Vadi 3. Huge GG's to Darky.
Oh yeah, for sure. Very impressive that Darky, during a race, during also a deciding match of a race against none other than Myth, is able to clutch out a PB. Although it's 2 seconds ahead, it's really impressive to be able to maintain this kind of pace with the pressure of like being at this point in the tournament.
Absolutely. Right, and then Darky's going to be popping in for post-run interview. While Myth here is finishing up, he's in Darky 3, Vadi 3.
Darky 3.
Myth's just fighting Darky at this point. It's not even about the game.
Oh, almost leaving the room before the...
I was so scared.
Yeah, me
didn't
too.
See the fade out on the last hit, and I was like, I don't know if he got him. Because that would be...
Yeah, but Myth counted all his hits against the crazy eye there.
Because it's 8 hits to kill the eye and break the arm.
Oh yeah, and doing portal items to deactivate the second arm. Very nicely done.
Dodging the lightning balls. Lining up for ping pong.
Okay. Alright. 2 more cycles and we're done on Myth's side. Is he going to finish with a bomb, maybe?
Ooh, we'll have to see. Hello!
Hello!
Welcome, Darky. GG, my friend.
GG!
Thanks. So really quick.
Ooh, time!
Time for Myth.
Let's go!
GG's. So, barring any retiming on your run, Darky, first of all, congratulations on the PB.
Oh, yeah.
Second of all, congratulations on the top 3 spot by 1 second.
Thanks.
By 1 second, really?
Mm-hmm. Just
my
barely
God.
slipping in past Nitrons.
The Nitros beat me by 1 second, and I just did the same right now.
Wow. That's so cool.
GG for sure. Fantastic run from both of you. So Myth just finished. We'll see if Myth pops in. Oh, there he is in the waiting room.
Okay.
Welcome in, Myth.
Welcome. GG.
Wow, what a run, talking. That was really good.
All right. So how does everybody feel about the runs? Darky, you were in here first, so I'll ask you first. How do you feel about the run, friend?
Well, I'm not gonna lie, it was one hell of a run. It could even have been like 127 if I could get Valley Manip. But yeah, overall it was really good. I'm really happy with that run.
Yeah, so yeah, I saw you got the first Tri-Octo clip.
Oh yeah,
as
very
well.
clutch.
That's a really big
Yeah.
way that a run can go sideways.
Yeah, I'm not yet used too much to the new setup, so it was a bit stressful, but somehow I got it first try, so well, that's cool.
Absolutely. Did a fantastic job. And Myth, GG as well. How do you feel about the run?
I felt like it was awful, but like looking at the final time, I'm not too upset about it. Really, the only big problem was just Fortress. Everything just went wrong there. But like the rest of the run wasn't that bad. I mean, I kind of went into this race knowing that I wasn't going to be able to do as well as Darky in most places, and was just like gonna have to like basically just get lucky, and that didn't happen. So yeah, no, expected outcome.
You did a great job. And
Yeah,
hey,
honestly, you
no
have
matter
been
what else,
killing it so far.
Yeah, and hey, you got McYeehaw.
Yeah, also,
that
shout
was
outs to that strat.
What was going through your mind when you decided to go for McYeehaw?
This is gonna work.
That's what you gotta have.
Yeah,
The famous 50-50, yeah.
McYeehaw feeds on doubt. You have to have complete certainty that you're gonna do it. But no, you just kind of get used to them, the blind inputs when you're doing the out of bounds section. And I didn't feel like any of my rolls were bad. If any of your rolls feel wrong, then like if you miss any of the inputs, then it's probably not going to work. But yeah, it's something that you can learn.
Ooh,
That's amazing.
McYeehaw strats.
All right, Darky, so
Saves
next
3
run.
seconds. Totally work.
Next run, Darky. You gotta.
ED again.
Oh, it's gonna be harsh, but well, I'll try. Well, it will be against either Nitros or the Revenge for Myth.
Oh yeah.
So I don't have the bracket in front of me. So I believe you've got the lower bracket finals, and then after that it's just grand finals of Darky
exactly.
versus whoever comes out on top of the lowers.
Yeah.
That's amazing. So there's only 2 more matches in this tournament. I myself will be keeping an eye out for that schedule.
Oh yeah,
I
absolutely.
want to be here for them. I'm so invested. But incredible job to both of you. Fantastic runs all around. We got to see some really cool stuff, some exciting strats, and we got to see things that we may not have yet seen in this tournament. I don't know if we've had a McYeehaw in this tournament. So, well
Yeah,
done,
indeed.
everybody.
I think I've done it every race.
Every race.
Yeah.
You fancy. It's that confidence. Knowing
Oh
it.
yeah. Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to the run back from Myth against Darky, possibly in the grand finals.
Oh, it's the rematch first. Me and Nitros.
Yeah, okay.
That's going to be this week, and then next week will be grand finals.
How do you feel about the match against Nitros currently?
I mean, I went into our first match thinking I was going to lose, and I don't think that's going to change much, because Nitros has been playing a lot better than they were when we did our first match. So we'll see. I'll keep practicing and working on stuff. And really, I just want to try and get as close to 130 as possible.
Oh yeah. Yeah, Nitros definitely stepped up during this tournament, as well as the other runners. like you and Darky, like yeah, really great performances so far from every runner. Lots of first tries octoclip, second tries octoclip with the new strats. Shoutouts to that, which is like a week old.
Yeah, that new octo clip.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. So it's going to be exciting going into the next few matches, where Myth, you get to go up against Nitros, who just got bopped out of third place by Darky, and then depending on how things go, you might go against Darky again. Who knows? The future is limitless, everyone. But I think that'll be a good place to stop there. So thank you all so much for being here. I'll let Trez take over.
Yeah, I think there's another race about to happen.
Ooh, exciting.
Oh, a TMC race?
An Ocarina of Time qualifier match on.
Oh, really nice.
Indeed. Qualifier 13 for the Ocarina of Time Randomizer Standard Tournament is coming up next. Thank you all so much for watching. Big shoutouts to Darky and to Myth. And of course, to our two commentators, to Drakis and to Inku. I hope you all had a great time. And we'll head into the last few... Great. We'll head into the last few matches of this tournament. It's going to be exciting. It's going to be great. And it's going to be together with you all. So thank you all so much for watching. Have a good one. And see you.
Thanks, everybody. Bye.
Thanks. Bye.